in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This is someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. True. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Wow, isn't that so crazy? You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent. It just gets me every time. Welcome, everybody. I'm LJ, and I have the birthday girl with me tonight. Introduce yourself and tell us what state are you in?
My name is Lenitra McGuire, and I'm in the state of California.
Beautiful California. I'm in Florida.
Beautiful Florida.
So I hope everybody's doing okay out there. I hope you guys are all hanging in there. I know the struggle is hard. The separation is difficult and heartbreaking. Hope everybody's getting through it. So let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about you and kind of how you got involved with CPS.
It's been like a year and maybe like 2 months. My kids was removed from me to an accidental overdose. It was cut with fentanyl. And so CPS stepped in and they removed my children from my home. And here it is a year later. I did everything that they asked me to do. I did extra stuff that I wasn't even supposed to do, just so they know that I learned my lesson and that I'm serious about getting my children back. And so with my oldest child, they end up closing my CPS case with her father. But an incident happened between her and her father where I had to drive all the way to Arizona to go pick her up. So now I still have joint custody of her, but I guess they recommend that she couldn't live with me unless the orders got changed. And then they told me that the orders wouldn't get changed unless I get my youngest back from out of the system. So I'm still dealing with that. And yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. It's been a whole year. And I still haven't got my youngest back. And the last hearing that I had in February, they were telling me that they didn't have all my drug testings together. It's not my job to know what's going on because they don't inform me on anything. So when they said that I had missing drug tests, I was still in a recovery services program. So I still had drug tests from them to letting them know that all my tests has been clean. And I'm the testing that you guys have, you guys said I didn't have to test for you guys no more in October. I thought I was completed. They were like, no, after that was completed, you were supposed to continue the drug test. Well, how am I supposed to know that? You guys didn't tell me that.
They didn't have testing. Then then why would you know that?
Exactly. And I had a social worker previously, and she told me that it was only going to be up to 6 months. So when I completed it in October, I wasn't aware that it needed to be reinstated, that I need to continue to do, testing with CFS. So I'm thinking in my mind, as long as I'm still in the program and I'm still getting drug tested, I feel like that's all that matters because I'm serious about me staying clean. So that wasn't good enough for them. They gave me a hearing back in, I think it was maybe what I think it was April, or maybe it was March. Yeah, it was March. Then they told me that I had to go back on supervised visitations after I was being unsupervised and having full days and everything because they had missing huh?
For what reason?
Because I had someone in the home that wasn't supposed to be in the home. Supposedly, he's not supposed to have a contact with my youngest. That was the agreement, that there was no contact between him and my youngest. So when they came to do like an assessment, like at the house, she did huh?
It's so terrible. It's bullshit. Sorry, watch my language. That they can dictate who we say is in our homes, around us or our children, like, and then deem us as criminals if we do when nothing happened.
Right. He passed the background check, and I guess because he's not her biological father, they said that he couldn't have a no contact order between her and him. So when he was there, I just had like a miscarriage and everything. So I'm trying to do laundry, trying to get everything, and I'm asking for help. And he happened to be there, and the social worker noted that I was cleaning my stove with tissue. I had a half naked man in my house, and that the person that they suspected to be, they don't think is that person because I gave them a different name. And like, I own up to what I did was wrong, but I panicked. I got nervous. I didn't know what to say because it's just like right on the spot. And if you know me, anybody knows right on the spot, you're gonna know I'm lying because I just can't come up with a lie that fast. So I tell her like it's somebody else. And she's like, okay, well, I need his ID and I need his social security number. And she's like, oh, I saw you tell him, no, don't give you the information. And I was like, how? You're in the living room and I'm in the bedroom. How can you see that far? You literally have to walk up to see me saying something like that. Then you said he was half naked because you found him in the closet putting on some clothes because we just got done doing laundry. He just got out the shower and you just came in the house and decided to say, oh, can I look in your closet? And I'm like, I can open my closet for you, but I'm like, why do you need to go in there? Like, you didn't ask to go in the kids' closet, but you asked personally for me to open up my closet door. So
Good
she
point.
walks in the closet by herself, like, oh, it's somebody in here. Like, yeah, of course it's somebody in here getting dressed, but all he did was put on his shirt. But because of that, they said that my priorities is messed up, that I'm not focused on my children, and that I'm more focused on being in a relationship than to have a relationship with my child. And she was like, you just need to be single. You don't need to be in a relationship.
Oh my gosh, my worker told me the exact same thing, and they are trying to keep my spouse out of the home that I got us, because he went to jail and had a charge, so they deem him unworthy of being able to live in the home, and then has to somehow provide, from thin air, stable housing for himself. When they've just re-rendered him homeless. I don't understand what business it is of theirs, as long as it didn't affect the children's room, the area, nothing. So that doesn't make sense to me, how they can say who can be in our homes.
Yeah. And that didn't make sense to me either. So I had to literally break up with this person because she said it's either your children or the life that you already been living without them. Like, that directly came out of her mouth. And in my mind, I'm like, so I don't have a life. I'm basically a puppet. I have to do everything you guys asked me to do. She's like, yeah, you just need to be by yourself. You need to focus on you. And I'm like, I did everything that I was supposed to do in a relationship. She's like, that's the thing. You did everything you were supposed to do, but he didn't do anything like that I was supposed to do all at the same thing. So he completed an outpatient program that wasn't good enough for them. They're like, no, he should have did it a long time ago. I was like, you guys didn't tell me or tell him directly that this needed to be done. You're saying like it's a good look that if he does it, then but it's still ultimately up to the judge. Whatever the judge says is whatever the judge is going to make it be. So I'm like, well, I showed you all of these things. He's not doing drugs. I'm not doing drugs. We both gave that life up. So it's like, no matter how much I try to show them that I'm a better person today than I was last year, it's still never good enough for them. If I wanted to have and I told her this, I said, growing up, I'm not a 2-parent household. I think it's very important that my children grow up with either, their own biological father or someone who's a great father figure for their lives. So I'm like, I don't want to rely on child support. I don't want to rely on the county. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with those programs for people who need assistance, but I'm like, I don't want to keep relying on that. I work a 9-to-5 job every week, making freaking 50 hours just to try to make sure I can take, even though I'm not supposed to be doing it. I don't know, but I still take care of my kids, even though they're not in my care. I still give this, here's some money for them, get them whatever they need to do.
Yep.
Like my parenting doesn't stop just because they're not in my care. So I'm doing everything and more and beyond. And your guys are just like, no, we don't care. You need to be by yourself. We don't want this man around your child. I'm like, but he's done what you guys asked him to do. So now I have to literally break up in this relationship, my engagement with this person who I've had, children with in the past, but didn't make it. But it's just that connection that you have. My youngest, she looks at him as a father. She calls him dad. She loves him dearly. So for her to realize, like, this man's not going to be around, that's like basically separating that kid and is giving them some type of emotional trauma because now they already have some type of attachment to that person. They already built a relationship, but she doesn't care. It's all about, you want your kid back, you're going to do what I tell you to do. If you don't, you're not getting them back.
The exact same thing. My case has been going, I think we're like 15 months. And they said, we don't want him in the home, and he is the father of our boy. But we would feel more comfortable if he was, in an inpatient program, and that way we would know he wasn't in the home. So he did that. So he wasn't in the home. Guess what? Did I get my kid back? No. They find more reasons. They find more BS to hold against you, whether it's in your past 10 years ago or not. They use everything and distort it and manipulate it. And it's despicable. So where are you at in your case now?
So now, when I just had court, when was it? I want to say maybe last week I had court. They gave me unsupervised visitations twice a week for 4 hours, and they're recommending more therapy for me, which I've already completed 8 sessions for them last year in May. So now I have to do 27 sessions of therapy, and they want to see if I'm mentally capable to take care of my child. So until that happens, me completing my therapy, they gave me a date in September, I think the 23rd, that if everything is good, the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend is not living in the house, and I'm living by myself and I'm doing good in therapy, then they will return my child. And I'm just like, I don't know why y'all giving me this hard time. I'm like, I don't know. Some people, they work very hard to get their kids back and they give them back to them like that. For me, I feel like they're dragging it on, and it's been for me like 15 months. It's been a real long time. So it's like really, really stressful. So I don't know what else to do. Uh-oh. Did something happen? Okay, there you go.
Sorry. I don't know what happened. It just like went black.
No, you're fine.
So they drag it on forever. And like, I know when my case first started, I mean, I was like in shock I can't even remember how many weeks. I like didn't realize the gravity of what the heck just happened. And I don't know how old your kids are, but mine is young. Mine is 3. And they took him when he was 2, because of failure to, they didn't think that I was going to keep him from my spouse. Well, why would I do that? That's his father. Just because
Right.
he went to jail doesn't make him, a person that is, incapable of being around a child safely. I
Yeah.
just, I don't understand how these people keep getting away with this, and something's got to give.
Yeah, they
I
have
mean,
way too much power, way too much authority, and I'm shocked. I'm like, are y'all part of the Illuminati? Like, what's going on? Because you guys have way too much power. Like, you have more
right.
power than the government. Like, can we like get them? It's like there's children who really do need to be taken away, and then you got children who really don't need to be taken away. Like
And a
I'm
lot of
like,
people don't believe that. A lot of people think, I've noticed on social media, especially, people will say, well, they don't take kids from good people. Yes, they 100% do.
they
And it
sure do.
happens more frequently than they take them from the bad people. Because I know bad people who got custody of their kids who have needles in their arms, in, in like plain view of their children, you
Yeah.
know? So what the hell? Like, I work in healthcare. I was a victim of circumstance. I have PTSD, and it wasn't, being addressed, but I addressed it. But still, they aren't happy enough, and I still don't have my child back. And it sucks so much, especially when they're young, because like I said, mine's only 3, and I get unsupervised visits for 2 hours a week. For a 3-year-old, that's not enough.
It's not.
My little boy begs me to take him home every time I see him, and all I can keep telling him is that our house is still being built and it's almost done. Because that's the only thing that will make sense for him. But he's acting out behaviorally, and he's getting aggressive, and I don't know who your kids are placed with, but my son is with my sister, and we did not get along prior to my case opening. I had actually, just taken her from my life, and removed the toxicity, because that's how our lives were, me and her. So now she's got guardianship over him, and got my son calling her mommy, and lives 4 minutes around the corner, and still only lets me see him for the 2 hours a week.
Wow.
So
That is so messed up.
I had a hearing to contest everything, and I would have won, but I had some kind of a medical event, like a seizure or something. I have tachycardia, so I have a high heart rate. My hair is wet, so you can't tell, but I'm a redhead Irish German, so that's probably why my heart rate's so high. So I think it was a change in medication, which is what there was, like a lapse, like a 2-day where I didn't have any medication for it. And I was so stressed the morning of court. I woke up 6 hours later on my garage floor in my court attire and everything, but I never made it to court. So I missed my hearing to get my chance to have my voice heard, because through these Zoom meetings and all this crap, over the phone and computer, like, I can't get a word in edgewise. I can't stand firm. I don't feel like, I feel powerless,
Yeah,
you know?
me too. I feel the same way.
So, the biggest thing, like, I know that I've done is, I've gone to all my providers. Like, they wanted me to do a 28-week batterers intervention program based on an arrest history from 5 years ago. Okay, no problem. Done. 28 weeks, done. I'm in like 42 weeks now. I'm still going voluntarily when I don't have to go, just to make sure that I am still continuing to show above and beyond. But what I did is I had my therapist, my parenting class director, my batterers intervention program director, all write letters and statements, and state my significant compliance, or if they saw an increased amount of change, or any kind of anything that I could get them to say that would be useful for me to show the judge that hey, I've made positive behavioral changes. I have been in therapy. I have addressed my PTSD. I have done the courses you've asked. Now what? Now what? But when I ask them, hey, my son is showing behavioral issues, and his preschool is complaining about it. Why does he not have any kind of therapy or services going on yet?
Mm-hmm.
But boy, they were quick to put me in some services. But
Exactly.
protecting my kid.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? Now I'm going to take one of my visitation days, and I'm going to take him, and I'm going to go get him some help and get him, he's already been assessed. So now I'm going to try to set up like some art therapy or something, or maybe, just something that will help him to deal with what's going on, because he's 3. We can't explain it to him, so it's hard. How old are your kids?
Mine's is 12 and 4. She just turned 4 in March.
Oh my goodness. So you're like me, I have a 14-year-old and a 3-year-old. Boy, that was different, huh?
Yeah, it's a real big difference. They're always fighting. I'm always telling them, like, you guys have each other. Like, stop fighting. Well, she won't let me get the slime. Well, she's always in my stuff. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, okay.
So are they placed together?
Yeah, they're placed together. They are with my sister as well.
Nice.
The youngest, she's having a hard, she's not understanding it. Her problem is right now is that she's ready to come home. She's like, I asked my social worker, can I come home? She told me I could. Like, I know she's lying, but I know she's in her mind. She's like, oh, I'm going to get a bag, and when you come visit me, I'm putting all my stuff in the bag, and I'm leaving with you. And I have to explain to her, like, you can't come with me just yet. Like, it takes some time. She's like, I just want to go home. Why did they take me? Like, you're not a bad mom. You're the best mommy in the world. So I'm just like, it makes me feel good to know that. But it's like, I can't explain to her that someone else doesn't see it that way. Someone else says, it is very heartbreaking. You can't explain to these people that maybe in your eyes I'm not the best mom in the world, but to my children I am. They even put statements inside of my reports that how my children lets them know, like, my mom's not a bad mom. She takes care of us. We're always fed. She gives us everything that we need. These kids are not coached. Okay, they will tell you the truth if they have to tell you the truth. They're not gonna just lie about that, And I'm like, if you look at my kids, there's some healthy kids. They don't look like they miss a meal in a day, like, at all. Like, they get snacks, lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Like, they get everything. So it's like, am I being a bad mom because I spoil my kids, or am I, like, what's going on? Like, I made one bad mistake. I decided not to go to the dispensary and get something off the streets, and that's what cost me my kids, So it messes with my head every day. Like, I know I won't go back. I'm staying sober. I'm staying clean. And my kids know that I'm staying sober. They know I'm staying clean. They try to pull this thing where they were like, oh, you tested positive for alcohol. And I'm like, well, first off, they worded ethanol. So I'm like, what the hell is ethanol? You see that on a gas station, like, what, I got gasoline in my body or something? She's like, no, you tested positive for alcohol. And I'm like, I'm not even drinking. So how's that even possible? Girl, come to find out, because I'm a type 2 diabetic and my blood sugars be like in the 300s, I'm going to get false positives for alcohol.
Yep.
So this whole time I kept telling them I haven't been drinking. So then when I tell them, like, she was like, well, I'm like, I mean, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I don't know what's going on, because and this is when I decided to go to my doctors and find out what was really going on, because I ended up catching this bad UTI. And the doctor was like, oh, you're testing positive for alcohol. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Okay, well, can you test my urine to see if I have alcohol in my system? They tested it and it came back that I had nothing but glucose, that high sugars of glucose in my system. So I showed that to the judge, and she's like, okay, this is explaining why you've been having positive tests. So I had to prove to them that I haven't been drinking alcohol. And so when I did that, Then they were like, oh, we can't get that on her. So we're just going to say, we don't want the boyfriend around. We don't want him around. We don't want the fiance around. Like, they find every little thing to make sure that you don't get your kids. So now they're in the process of telling me that I'm in my 12-month mark of reunification. But when I was told in February, we were going to go ahead and start the process to do the 6 months reunification, because my oldest being with her dad and doing a 29-day trial, they had put a hold on the reunification with my youngest. So now she's telling me, oh, we're in the 12th month. And I'm like, how is that even possible? I thought we were doing a 6 month now. She's like, no, after this, if you don't do good within after the 6 months, we're just going to go ahead and adopt your child. But no positive test for drugs, no alcohol.
Lifetime bond away in a finite amount of time, in just a year or two. You know what I mean? Like, you should have like 3 times that amount of time to, shaping up, your whole entire life, and then somehow act as if nothing happened and they didn't take.
Uh-oh, you guys.
How we're just supposed to, maintain normalcy when stuff's not normal. Our life is anything other than normal right now. Like, it goes against every moral fiber in me to not take my son and run to, Greece. It's tough. It's tough. Do you get to see your children often throughout the week with, your sister having them? I can't hear it.
Okay, hello.
There you are. I gotta love it. I love technology, man.
I know they don't want us to get our story out there, but it's
so I'm telling you, like, there's so many of us that are in this very predicament, and we are complaining, but nobody's listening. Nothing's being done, and this organization still get away with it. So I'm gonna stand like an antenna. So what advice would you have for other parents that are just starting in this process?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can. I was like pressing buttons to try to hear you.
Okay. No, but we all are going through a lot of the similar things that's going on right now. They're making it really, really, really hard for a lot of us parents who's done everything and more to get their children back. And I don't know what the agenda is. I have these theories, but it's gonna come to light eventually. I really just feel like they're trying to cause emotional trauma between the parent and the child. Because if I was such a bad mom, why does my child cries and asks for her mom all the time? A child who's being abused, they're not gonna want to ask for their abuser. They're gonna try to stay away from that abuser. So it's like, you guys know that this little girl loves me. She tells you all the time. She talks about me all the time. I talk about her all the time. So it's just like, I'm confused what their agenda is, because if you're all about reunifying the family together, why is it that you're making us go through all of this and then complete all of this and still say, oh no, you're not getting your kid back?
And it's I mean, I'm so worried about the damage to my 3-year-old and what he's going through and has gone through, and what thoughts his poor little brain must have been, thinking. Why does my mommy and daddy not want me to come with them? Why won't they take me with them? Why are they leaving me here? And it's just so wrong. And
It
I tell you, I separated from my spouse, and said, hey, that this is what they want. We've got to do what they want, so at least one of us can get our son back home, to our home, our hands. And we did that, and they still are finding other reasons. And so we are going to come back together because we came into this as a family. Why the hell should we go out of it as not a family? You know what I mean?
Right.
I was so scared and worried, that, okay, I'll do anything, whatever you want. I just want my kid back.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have to abandon my spouse just because he got arrested and went to jail. It doesn't make him a dangerous person to be around, nor does it deem him unfit to be a parent. They should have offered him more services, if anything.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, I'm gonna get my kid back no matter what it takes, and I'm gonna spend my life making sure that this organization is held accountable for the damage they've done to not only my family, but all the families all across the country that they are ruining and ripping apart. And then we're just supposed to go about day-to-day life as if, everything's normal. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I am devastated. I am brokenhearted. I had a relapse. That relapse doesn't deem me unchanged or, improved or unimproved. You know what I mean? So I just I dream about it all of the time, about just, that day in court where I'm it's like me against 10,000 of the social workers and social worker bosses, and they just all start dropping like flies.
I agree, because I'm
and
waiting
then I
for
pray to God for forgiveness.
Right? God, please forgive me. I have been thinking about going to some extreme stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can do it, but I probably can. But I got some stuff I'm gonna try for sure. Because I mean, who was I can't remember her name, but she talks about it in a way where she speaks about, these people, they're wicked, they're demons. That's how you look at them. Like, you're just all in this world and you think everything is just all good, and then this demon just comes out of nowhere and just starts attacking your life. And that's how I look at CPS. These people are demons. These people are wicked. They really are something psychologically wrong with these people who gets into this field and say, oh, a long time ago, I thought I was going to be maybe, a social worker and really just really help kids out. But they get paid to take your kids away. They get paid for you to adopt your kids out. Our kids are nothing but another number to them. Our children is nothing but a dollar sign to them. So it's like the information that I know now, I know when I get my kid back, I'm getting my birth certificate authenticated, their birth certificate authenticated, and their social security numbers authenticated. And I'm going to court to go fight them to get custody of my kids. So you can never do this shit again to me, ever. Excuse my language, but now I have my stuff. Then we're gonna go claim our nationality, because if you come on my territory, now you're doing a crime against me and my nationality and my tribe. It's not going down anymore. So it's like, and I feel like because I'm so knowledgeable about what's gonna happen next when my kids does come back into my care, I feel like they're trying to like prolong it even longer. But you can't stop what God has intended for me. You can't shut that door. You can't do none of that. And then it tells you in the Bible, God said, do not touch his anointed ones. You touching his anointed one, you going to reap all y'all done sowed. I'm telling you, they going to get it. They going to get it.
I love it. I love it. Here's my tattoo. God is the beginning. That's Alpha Omega. God is the beginning and the end.
That's right. I love that. I'm going to go get me one now. Matching tattoos, girl.
I like, my faith was shaken, after all this. Like, I mean, I really lost, all kind of sense of hope and faith in humanity. Like how the hell can these people take my kid away from me when I know I'm a good mom. I know that I take care of my child. But because of who his father is, and his father made a mistake, they are punishing us and our child. At what expense? I mean, they are traumatizing and ruining a familial bond that is so, it's bullshit. It's just there's no words to explain how frustrating it is that they can do this, and that anybody has the power to take a child from a parent, other than it being a dangerous situation.
That's true.
And I'm telling you, I've been, it took me probably like 6 months to really no, that's a lie. Probably like 10 months to start collecting documentation and start defending myself on the back burner, because my court-appointed attorney wasn't doing anything. I don't feel like she was working very hard for me at all. So, I may or may not have told her about that. Now I have a new attorney. So, I mean, hey, if that's all it took, I would have done that a long time ago. So I've started collecting documentation and, doing research and building my case, because I will have my day in court, and I will hold everybody accountable for what they've done. It has to be done. The steps have to be made. I mean, why can't we find a defense attorney who can fight CPS, who will take on a class action? I mean, because there's so many parents that would get involved in that, because they attack the poor, and none of us can afford it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Wowzers. I have all this documentation, but I don't know how to organize it to, put it down on, how the hell do I begin that? I'm not an attorney. I feel like a legal assistant at this point with all the knowledge I have.
Yeah, and the reason why they're able to take our children in the first place is because we have this birth certificate, and they don't tell us that with this birth certificate that we got to actually go to court and versus the state that we want to get custody of our own child. You have to actually get your kid, because legally, if you social security number, the state owns your child. It's like a whole modern day new slavery type thing. And that's why they're able to take our children. They don't educate on us. They don't tell us things like this. So it's like, now I know
they don't communicate.
It was easy. Huh?
They don't communicate.
Yeah, they don't communicate, but they're not going to tell you. They're not going to say, "Oh, when you get your kid's birth certificate, go down there to the courthouse and say, oh, you want custody of your kid." Because if you don't do that, guess what? Something like this can happen, and they can easily come and take your kid. Just to come to find out, if you've been on the county longer than 4 years, CPS can get involved and take your kid, because they say that by law you can't take care of your kid financially because you haven't had a job. And I'm like, wow, like everything is a setup. Everything is a setup.
I'm so
right now. I just want to take my
worried.
kids and run.
I'm telling you. I'm trying to think of like the most, like the farthest away place I could think of, and I go there often and daydream about it. Because one day, there's going to be something that happens. I don't know what it is now, but something's going to give. Something's going to break, because God's not going to tolerate injustice for that long. Guess what? Neither am I. There's nothing else greater than a mother trying to get to her children and people standing in the way. There's nothing stronger. No offense made to any men, but that's the way I feel.
Look, God knew what he was doing. He made mothers. I want to say that he knew. That's what.
Yeah.
We're the only ones in the world who can bear a child, deal with that pain, forget about that pain, fall in love with that kid, and do it all back all over again. Like, remember after that one? Nah, I don't think so. They can't do it.
Right?
We do it multiple times. Exactly. That is so
but it's the
true.
best love in the world. I wouldn't change it for anything. It's it's the most amazing feeling, isn't it?
It is. And I love walking through those doors and my kids be like, "Mom!" and scream, and they're just grin to ear. It's the best feeling in the world. It doesn't matter if we had a bad day, we're feeling down. They always uplift my spirit, and they're my strength, and I'd be damned if I just, I don't care whatever does happen. I'm still not gonna give up on my kids. I'm gonna fight tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears. You're gonna have to kill me in order for me to stop fighting. That's how I look at it. I'm not gonna stop.
100%.
I'm determined.
100%.
It's my purpose. It's my mission. It is my mission.
See now.
And if it's my purpose, that's the mission. I'm gonna keep moving, and I'm gonna do what I have to do. I don't care. You're gonna have to kill me. Straight boop like that. You're gonna have to kill me. If that don't work and I'm still here, I'll wake up out of that coma. I'm still coming to my kid. I am coming. There's a reason why I am the woman that I am today. They made me stronger. They made me a better person. Before they even came into it, they were everything to me that I created for this planet Earth. You took that from me. Who am I not to go back and get them?
Amen. I love it. I love it. Sorry, I'm dog sitting. I'm trying to get away from the barking dog before I turn the mic. So how often do you get to, so you said you get to see your children 4 hours a week?
Action, for sure.
What was that? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, I think we might have lost her. Wow, you guys. That's just another example of what we're all going through, what we're all experiencing. So, you guys just be strong in your convictions. Be strong in your research of, there she is. I'm glad it's
back.
not only just me.
But
So I was asking, how you said you get to see your kids 4 hours a week?
yeah, so twice a week for 4 hours.
I
So I go
love
back to
that.
back
Oh,
days. I go back to days, so
oh
she
my
gets
gosh,
to
that's
see,
amazing. Now, do you think
and I
that
get to
that's
talk to her on
because
the
it's
phone
your
all the time.
sister?
I think it's because she is with my sister. But like I said, I've been working my behind off to get, unsupervised visitations. When I had unsupervised, they gave me 4 hours. It's like they keep putting me back in square one, but after square one, I go back to like step 3 or step 4. So it's like a seesaw. They keep making me go up and down with the situation. So I like just a month ago, I was on supervised. Now a month later, I'm not on supervised. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't know what game that they're playing. So, like, maybe they want me to break. Maybe they want me to relapse or something. Like, I refuse to give them any ammunition at all. I'm not
They
giving them
do.
shit.
They do want you to break and
Hmm.
relapse because then they get more money because then the kid is in more services and stays in services.
Yeah.
That's what they want because it's all about the dollar to them.
Yeah. You're
They don't care
absolutely
about
right.
the kids they're destroying or the hearts they're, seemingly rupturing. They could care less.
Yeah.
Your social worker is not your friend, you guys. Not
She's
your
not. They
friend.
lie all the time. Girl, she put in a report that I said I go on dates on my days off, but on my days off I go visit my kids. So how's that possible? How I don't have time to
But
date.
even, but even if it was true, like, what the hell does that matter? Like, that doesn't make you an unfit parent.
And that's what they're trying to portray me as, being an unfit parent, that I got other priorities besides my children. Like,
Well, and I wonder who took out the parents as having the best interest of their own children, and then deemed it somebody else, some or researcher, or whatever the hell to say who said what's in the best interest of the children. Like, you don't know my child. How the hell do you know the best interest for
right?
them? And then like for me in my case, the guardian ad litem, he keeps recommending supervision be maintained, and he's never even seen a visit with me and my son. He's never even met my son in person
Wow.
because he won't drive across the county lines because I don't have a good reason or excuse for him. But it's like, they, like, what do you do when it seems like everybody you involved in your case, which in Florida, it said the green ad litem, the caseworker supervisor, and anybody else collaborate with the parents for the reunification or the goal.
Oh, it's breaking up pretty bad.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
I was saying they don't collaborate, they don't communicate, they don't, they don't assist you when that's their job. And then the judge not making them do their job and then just, believing their reports and agreeing with what they say to do. Guess
Yes.
what? Now I'm going to make sure that you, judge, get in trouble for not doing your job.
Yep. And that's where I'm at to this day with the judge. Like, you guys don't even care what's on the papers. If the social worker says it, you go ahead and agree with it. Oh, that's what's going on? Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead and agree with it. And I'm like, so basically, and this is how I think I probably got in trouble last court for saying this. I said, okay, so just because y'all passed the background check, do I know that you're not a pedophile when you go home and do some little crazy stuff with other people? Like, are you guys a serial killers and I don't know about it? I don't know what you do behind closed doors, and you don't know what I do behind closed doors, because one visit, you determine that's what kind of person I am. But I got evidence that you killed this person, but that's who you really are, though, right? I just went crazy, girl. I was like, I shouldn't have said that. I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's the truth. I don't know who you are when you take off that robe and you go home. I don't know who you are. You could really be a psychopath and go home and fucking kill animals, or for all I know, and then come back in court like nothing happened. Like, I trust them. Never.
Did we lose her?
Like,
but she's right. Like, how do you feel like you're going crazy? How do you not feel like everything?
Uh-oh. Her services like keep going in and out. It is. It's all about the money. There we go, lovely.
If you act or behave, upset, or, you exhibit. Hi, there you are.
Hi.
I was just saying, it doesn't make any sense to me how I'm supposed to not show any frustration, and aggravation, because it doesn't characterize me as an angry individual who can't control their emotions. It just simply states that I'm aggravated about the situation and I'm expressing my feelings. When did that start being used against us as, human beings? It's not my fault that I feel this way because of something that is happening to me, and I am overwhelmed and not understanding the process, and still feel like I'm getting raped here.
Yeah.
And the damage you're doing to my kid, on top of it, you're hurting my child on a minute-to-minute basis, and I'm supposed to do nothing. And for me, that's really, really hard. Really hard.
Same here. They try to say we cause the emotional trauma, things to our child. I'm like, how? You came and snatched and kidnapped my kid. That's how I look at it. I'm like, that's your job. And that's what I'm like, your job will get you messed up. You don't even know it. You got to be careful who you messing with, because if I really wanted to, I could hire a PI, find out where you live, and it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm at with it right now. Like, I am saving every little dime. Like, be careful what kind of job you get in. Be careful, especially messing with somebody's child. You don't mess with nobody's child. You messing with someone's children, it's going to set something off in them, and we're a complete different person now. Now we're in survival mode. Now we're in defense mode. Now we're at attack mode, because you're traumatizing our child. You're not thinking that you're doing that. And if you do think that, you're a sick person, because you're causing it. My kids, both of them, my 4-year-old and my 12-year-old, they both know you're not the problem, Mom. They're the problem. They're coming here traumatizing us. We can't be we can't be with you because they said so. She's like, do you know what that's doing to us? Look what it's doing to my little sister. She cries for you every day. And these people tell you, no, you can't be with your mom. Then my youngest tells me, you could just take me. I won't tell anybody. Like, girl, no, I can't do that. But as bad as I want to. Say that again?
I said it's lifelong damage.
Yes. And they're the cause of it.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what you guys are doing out there. But you guys, I am pulling together and researching what organizations oversee the Department of Children and Families, or Safe Children's, or whatever the organization is called in your county or state. I am looking into that, and I am making complaints now. I will be heard. Someone will explain to me why this is simply okay, and every other, I mean, I can't even tell you how many thousands of other people have lost their children for reasons that they should not have lost their children. And it's like, and they don't know what to do because they don't have the money or resources or knowledge, or they get so overwhelmed or stressed, or they're too scared, or for whatever the reason. These people are not being stood up against. And I tell you what, I'm standing up against them from today and on forever, because I'm tired of them dictating how I'm going to live my life, behave, or act. Because I know with good moral fiber, I'm a good person. And I know that when I lay my head down. I know that I do my kids right. I know that I have changed in the ways that I have needed to change, because I embraced, my case plan after a while, because eventually I saw my errors and and the benefits to the services I was given, and I flew with it. And like that batter's course, I was pissed I had to take that. 28 weeks of what? Talking about being pissed off? It's the best class I've ever taken in my life, and I would recommend it to anyone. Because when I was 18, I witnessed a murder-suicide, and the murder was of my mother and my stepfather of 11 years. And I had severe PTSD for a long time, and I didn't know how to navigate that. Nobody has, there's no rule book on how to live life after that. And but God willing, I'm still standing today, but I tell you what, I'm real pissed off on a daily basis because of these types of people that are in the world. But all it does is just I harness it and flip it and turn it into energy to propel me forward to see the day where my family will be reunified and we will somehow be justified. People are going to pay for what they have done to families all across the country. And I hope that for every one of us. I hope and pray for
it. Me too. Because the ones who are like us and they're going through all of this, my prayers go out to them too. We got to stay strong. We have to come together. We do have to fight them, because they're using everything against us with these laws and acts and everything, but they keep forgetting, like, we have rights as well. And if you think it's just parental rights, no, it's other rights too that we have as well. And you can't take that away from us.
And our children have rights also.
Yeah, even our children have rights too, and their voices matter too. And the fact that they hush them up and try to be a voice for our own children, you can't do that, because my kid can verbally speak for themselves. They can say, oh no, I want to go live with my mom. Oh no, I feel like what they're doing is wrong and I don't want to be here. Like, I don't. So I'm definitely trying to do something immediately. I've been doing my research too, because it's not right. There's no way in hell. I'm about to write a letter to Biden. Somebody, they gotta go. They got to go.
And that's exactly what is going to take. Because I know that Attorney Vincent Davis, he is just an amazing attorney. He is, him and Georgette was just posting that he wants to, put a database up for like the country to be able to, have knowledge of who to vote for, who your legislators and lawmakers are. Like, that's really the way that moving forward we have to make and generate change, is in our votes and who we vote for, and making sure we know who the hell we are voting for. And when I was younger, I didn't understand if you don't vote, you don't get a voice. Well, guess what? 100% true. If you don't vote, then, how can you complain about wanting change in the world, but nothing's going to happen if you don't vote? So you guys make sure you get out and you do your, due diligence research on who your senators are, representatives, and all these people. Like, I can't stand politics, and I hate that they're forcing me to know like any of these people. But like, that's what it's going to take. We've got to change the laws. We've got to change how powerful this organization has become and allowed to be. And
Yeah.
I'll take them down one at a time if I have to. I'll stand up against 10 million of them, and I'll be the only one that's being told that I'm wrong and they're all right. I don't care, because I don't care what anybody thinks. I just want my kid back. I want someone to answer for the damage that they have caused for no good reasons. That doesn't make any sense. And a lot of these social workers are barely trained in psychology and behavioral assessments. Like, I don't know if you watched my show last week, but I was reading it was called a family functioning assessment. And my social worker was like, God, I think she was 21, and barely had a degree. Not to say that didn't make her educated, but it didn't make her so educated to do the very intensive assessment on me without even knowing me. She met me like 3 times. And she's got this like 100-page assessment on me and my behavioral characteristics and my cognitive understanding. And like, lady, how the hell do you get to assess that with only like 3 5-minute sessions, within a year's time? Like, that shouldn't be allowed, because it doesn't make any sense. See, if it doesn't have logic or reason, I have a hard time like wrapping my head around it, because you're fighting a mute point at that time.
No, seriously. And I've been there with you. I one of the social workers that I had in the beginning that did everything, she said that I was mentally ill and I couldn't take care of my children. And I looked up to see if she could make that diagnosis. She doesn't even have a license to diagnose somebody with mental illness. But the judge didn't say anything. The judge went along with it, though I had to prove them. They're like, these are all allegations. Okay, so you're allegedly saying I'm doing this, but I'm literally fighting, telling you guys I'm not doing these. These allegations are wrong. You're still trying to find some type of way to make it seem like I'm guilty of all these allegations. So I definitely proved. I mean, all of the allegations were wrong, honestly. But the allegations that they were trying to say is that I had a substance abuse problem, and I didn't have a substance abuse problem.
You know what? Now that you say that, I was reading, it came from, God, I wish it was right here. This place called, I think it's called Sassy or something down in my state. I don't know where it is. I wish it was right here. But it was basically saying how just because you've used a substance does not indicate you have a substance abuse disorder. Even if you've used the substance more than once or more than twice, it still does not, just drug testing does not indicate that you have a substance abuse disorder. And a lot of you, I really want that to resonate with you, because I would be like, that raises red flags to me, because wait a minute. Yeah, I use substance, but I didn't have a disorder of using substances. And I still maintained a full-time job in healthcare, maintained home, car, bills, all of that. My kid was in, preschool. Like I was functioning. I was sad all the time, and I needed, I need some therapy, counseling, which finally, eventually I got. But it just made me think, like, had I known that then, I would have argued more about them documenting that I have a substance abuse disorder. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's really important for all of us to Demand your reports, your files, your paperwork, and get your attorney to do their job. They work for us. Get them to do their job, but don't sit and do nothing, you guys. Don't sit idle. Your kids are waiting for you to come get them. Keep fighting. Do the research. Do more. Go above and beyond. Our kids, I have chills. Our kids are so worth it. And the way that my boy looks at me with that love in his eyes, he doesn't look at my sister like that. My sister's much more cold-hearted, more aggressive, less loving, and not as tolerant of a rambunctious 3-year-old boy. And it's hard because that's the only comfort he has. So I can tell he doesn't want to be comforted by her, but he has no other choice because she helps, keep him away from me by being 4 minutes around the corner and never has stepped foot at my house or my driveway. So I'm just going to keep fighting, which is terrible, like to fight for your children. You shouldn't have to fight anybody for your children. I can't hear you. Well, seems we both have an internet issue. Maybe it's a nationwide internet connectivity thing. Can you hear me? Well, all right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me every week. Join me every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Hey, girl, happy birthday to you. And thank you for being on my show. And I hope you follow us and keep us updated on your case and how that goes for you and your kids. We're rooting for you, and you guys all keep your chins up, and we're going to make it through this. And, hey, your next day in court, give them hell. Thanks, everybody. Happy birthday. Bye.